I did a video a couple of days ago on bro splits versus full body training for someone who's an older lifter and indeed someone who came to the gym at an older age. You know, what I mentioned in that video was that one of the things I did initially was to type bodybuilding into search engines, just simply because I didn't know what else to type in, basically. And up came all these videos of really huge guys like Kai Green, Jay Cutler, and they were massive. So naturally I assumed, well, this is what you do. Look at the size of these guys. So I started following what they were doing. And I really enjoyed it, you know. And I think this is all particularly relevant this time of year, as we're coming to the end of the year. We're going to get a lot of New Year's resolutioners in the gym. People like myself with no background in training and no experience of training. Anyway, back to these huge monsters, you know, and they were killing it, you know, and they were all basically doing bro splits. So that's what I started doing. I just started following suit. And I kept looking at videos over the months, trying to figure out what they were doing, getting new routines, training methods. But what I started noticing down the side of the page was all these videos on steroids in bodybuilding and various topics along this line. So I started looking at them in my spare time. And what became apparent fairly quickly is that, you know, without drugs, it was unlikely I was going to look like Arnold Schwarzenegger anytime soon, which was a bit of a disappointment, but hey, there you go. So I started investigating further because I'd be very determined and I didn't want to give up. So I started going below that initial surface layer of videos of these big Terminators. And I started finding videos by guys who took a more scientific approach to training, and I thought it was a more realistic approach for someone of my age and genetics. So I looked into these videos and I thought to myself, Eureka, I've got it sorted. Yeah, I know a style of training that's going to work for me and it's going to help me to achieve results. But I have to say that initial excitement didn't last too long, and one video in particular I think sticks in my mind, in that it was by some guys who are hugely respected in the lifting world, give a lot of really good information, and I have to say I've learned so much from their page, particularly on the fundamentals of the big three lifts. So the page has been invaluable to me, but there was one aspect that just didn't make sense to me from day one, and that was their view on mobility work and preparatory work for lifting. They took a very haphazard approach to it. You know, they said jump under the bar, do your warm-ups under the bar. If you need to do mobility work, do it on another day, do it after you train. And none of this made any sense to me because my mobility was terrible. How was I likely to improve my mobility if I wasn't working on my mobility? And how was I supposed to perform the main lifts safer and more effectively if I wasn't improving my mobility work? So it didn't make any sense to me, and to be honest, beyond making any sense on this particular topic, their advice was wrong and in some respects downright dangerous, you know. So I was a little bit shocked by that, by guys who were so knowledgeable, and they took this haphazard approach for what to me is a very important aspect of lifting. Now I have to say that in the last 6 to 9 months they've done a 180 on their views on mobility and preparatory work, and that in a lot of other aspects of training I've found this site invaluable. But it's just one example of you know, people who have a great reputation and how they're not always going to give the best advice. I think another aspect worth considering is the fact of some of these guys have been involved in sports all their lives. You know, some of them to a particularly high level. And that's not my experience. You know, I came at a later age, I no background in sports. So these guys had years of training under their belt. Obviously, having performed at a high level for so many years, generally speaking, people like that would have good genetics as well. So genetically, their makeup was different than mine. Training came easier recovery came easier, and strength and muscle gains came easier in the gym. That was not the case for me. I struggled, my progress was slow. So their training styles weren't always applicable to me, and weren't always suitable for me, you know, and this took me a while to get my head around, and I was starting to get self-doubt. My esteem was going down because I wasn't getting the same results as some of these guys in the gym, and that was down to the genetic component, which I knew nothing about. So if I could give you a couple of takeaway points from this video, is to do your research. You know, find people who are applicable to your particular set of circumstances. Get a whole load of different opinions on a topic and find out what works for you as an individual, and this will help your progress greatly. Anyway, I hope you liked the video. If you did, leave a comment and like the video.